Hello everyone, and welcome to the World War Photographer channel. Today we will talk about the fall of Nazi Germany. Don't forget to subscribe to support our work. It truly means a lot to us. On December 27, 1944, B-24 bombers from the US 15th Air Force roar over Salzburg, Austria, as smoke from their bombs merges with enemy smudge pots. On the same day, a group of Hitler youth in Germany is trained to use a machine gun, a stark reminder of the war's desperation. On December 24th, near Bra, Belgium, a soldier from the US 82nd Airborne Division advances alone while a comrade provides cover. On May 2nd, 1945, Yevgeny Khalday captured Soviet soldiers raising their flag over the Reichstag after Berlin's fall. Though iconic, the photo was a staged reenactment and stirred controversy over identities and edits. A heavily armed German soldier advances with ammunition boxes during the counter-offensive in the Belgium-Luxembourg salient on January 2nd. Along the Second Baltic Front, a Soviet machine gun crew crosses a river. One soldier raises his rifle, while others push a floating platform carrying their gun and supplies. On January 6th, C-47 transport planes fly low over Bastogne, dropping supplies to besieged US forces. As smoke rises from destroyed Nazi equipment, American tanks advance to support the fight. On January 9th, captured enemy soldiers stand amid the ruins of Bastogne after the US 4th Armored Division helped break the siege. Refugees gather in La Glaise, Belgium, awaiting transport after the town's recapture by American forces during the German advance in the Belgium-Luxembourg salient on January 2nd. On February 4th, British Prime Minister Winston Churchill, US President Franklin Roosevelt, and Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin sit on the patio of Livadia Palace in Yalta, Crimea, discussing Europe's post-war reorganization and Germany's fate. On February 5th, 1945, Soviet troops from the Third Ukrainian Front engage in combat through the buildings of Budapest, Hungary. This photo captures a V-1 bomb heading towards central London, hitting near Drury Lane and damaging buildings like the Daily Herald office. The final enemy strike on British soil occurred on March 29th in Datchworth. On February 12th in Berlin, Volksopfer collection depots gathered uniforms and equipment from German civilians to support the Volkssturm. The message urged citizens to sacrifice for the army and home guard, so soldiers could proudly wear a uniform. In Kranenburg, a party works to repair telephone lines amid 4-foot floods caused by the retreating Germans. British troops deeper in Germany had their supplies delivered by amphibious vehicles during the flooding on February 22nd. This set of 3 photos captures the reaction of a 16-year-old soldier after being captured by US forces in Germany. On March 3rd, 1945, flak bursts through the vapor trails of B-17 flying fortresses from the 15th Air Force during the attack on Graz's rail yards in Austria. From Dresden's town hall, this view shows the devastation of the Old Town after Allied bombings between February 13th and 15th, 1945. Over 3,600 aircraft dropped 3,900 tons of bombs, creating a firestorm that destroyed 15 square miles and killed more than 22,000 people. Men of the American 7th Army pour through a breach in the Siegfried Line, advancing toward Karlsruhe, on the road to Stuttgart on March 27th. On March 18th, Jewish services were held at Schloss Reit, led by US soldiers, Private First Class Abraham Mermelstein, Captain Manuel M. Polyakov, and Corporal Martin Willen. The service, the first east of the Ruhr River, honored fallen Jewish soldiers from the 29th Division, U.S. 9th Army. American soldiers huddle aboard an assault boat crossing the Rhine at St. Goar while facing heavy fire from German forces. An unidentified American soldier, shot by a German sniper in Koblenz, clutches his rifle and hand grenade. On April 24th, the war-torn Cologne Cathedral stands amidst the devastation on the west bank of the Rhine in Cologne. The nearby railroad station and Hohenzollern Bridge are completely destroyed after years of Allied air raids. An American soldier from the 12th Armored Division stands guard over captured German soldiers in a forest in April 1945. On April 25th, just days before his suicide, Adolf Hitler decorates members of the Nazi youth organization Hitler Jugend in front of the Chancellery bunker in Berlin. In early April, partly completed Heinkel. He-162 fighter jets sit on the assembly line in an underground Junkers factory at Tartan. The factory, hidden in a former salt mine, was discovered by the 1st US Army during their advance on Magdeburg. In April 1945, Soviet officers and US soldiers meet on the Elbe River. Their friendly exchange highlights the Allied bond as the war draws to a close. During the 7th Army's drive toward Heidelberg, Germans are crammed into an overcrowded compound. This photo captures the Allies' perpetual struggle to provide enough space for their ever-growing collection of prisoners on April 4th. On April 18th, a US soldier stands amid rubble at the monument of the Battle of the Nations in Leipzig after the city's attack. The monument, a last stronghold, housed 150 SS troops with supplies for a 3-month holdout. American 1st Army artillery eventually forced their surrender. In April of the same year, Soviet soldiers engage in house-to-house fighting on the outskirts of Königsberg, East Prussia. In early spring 1945, a German officer eats sea rations amid the ruins of Saarbrücken, a key city along the Siegfried Line. In Prague, a Czech mother kisses a Russian soldier, overcome with emotion, as she thanks him for helping to free her homeland on May 5th. On May 1st, New York City's subway rush hour came to a halt as news of Hitler's death spread. The Nazi leader had committed suicide in his Berlin bunker on April 30th, and his successor, Karl Dönitz, vowed to continue the war against the Allies. On May 4th, Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery reviews the surrender pact at his headquarters in Lüneburg Heath. German officers agreed to a ceasefire on British fronts in northwest Germany, Denmark and Holland, starting May 5th. The surrender marked the beginning of the end, with full Nazi surrender on May 8th. On VE Day, May 8th, over 1 million people flooded Whitehall in central London to hear the official announcement of Germany's unconditional surrender. The streets were alive with celebration as the war in Europe came to an end. New York's Times Square is filled with crowds celebrating Germany's unconditional surrender in the war. The scene captures the city's joyous response to the end of the war in Europe on May 7th. On May 9th, Moscow's Red Square erupts in celebration of Victory Day. Fireworks light up the sky, followed by bursts of gunfire and searchlights, marking the Soviet Union's triumph in World War II. At the end of World War II, the wrecked Reichstag building in Berlin stands in ruins, with a destroyed military vehicle in the foreground, symbolizing the collapse of Nazi Germany. Soviet Ilyushin Il-2 ground attack aircraft soar above Berlin, as the city faces intense aerial bombardment during the final stages of World War II. In June 1945, Nuremberg lies in ruins after Allied bombings during World War II, destroying over 90% of the city. Once the site of Nazi rallies and the Nuremberg Laws, the city would later host the Nuremberg trials, prosecuting Nazi leaders for war crimes, including the genocide of 10 million people. Thanks for watching until the end. If you enjoyed these historical World War photos, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.